I want to talk to you today about something many of us don't acknowledge until later in life. You know, that quiet space inside your chest, the place where your breath softens and your thoughts settle. After 50, we begin to realize how precious that inner peace truly is. And yet there are people, sometimes without meaning to, who disturb it, shake it, or even slowly drain it away. Let me ask you this. Have you ever walked into a room and felt your whole body tighten just because of one person's energy? Maybe it's someone who constantly complains, someone who pulls you back into old wounds you've spent decades trying to heal, or someone whose chaos becomes your responsibility. I once worked with a woman named Margaret, 62 years old. She told me, "I don't understand. I meditate every morning, I try to live gently, but the moment I talk to my sister, all my peace disappears." And I looked at her and said, "Margaret, maybe the problem is not your peace, but the person you're handing it to." You see, the Buddha taught that inner peace is not something fragile. It's something we give away when we're not conscious. Some people don't just disturb your calm, they consume it. They create storms inside you even when your own life is perfectly quiet. There are people who argue not because they seek truth, but because they need conflict to feel alive. There are people who judge every choice you make, even though their own lives are filled with chaos. And there are people who treat your kindness like a bottomless well, taking and taking until you no longer recognize your own emotional limits. As a teacher who has spent decades working with individuals over 50, I've learned this. Inner peace is not destroyed. In one moment, it is worn down by repeated small invasions. Maybe it's the friend who always brings negativity into your home. Maybe it's the adult child who only calls when they need something. Maybe it's someone you've loved for years, but every conversation leaves you feeling smaller, heavier, or emotionally exhausted. I want you to imagine something. Picture your inner peace as a candle. Some people warm their hands beside it, but others, they cup their hands around the flame and try to take it with them. So ask yourself quietly, who in my life makes me feel less like myself? Who leaves me drained instead of grounded? Because the truth is, after 60, life becomes too short, too sacred to let anyone steal your calm. And here's the deepest lesson the Buddha offers. You don't have to fight these people. You don't have to fix them. You simply have to stop giving them permission to enter the softest part of your soul. Your peace is your responsibility, and protecting it is an act of wisdom, not selfishness. You know, as we get older, something beautiful happens inside us. We begin to see people more clearly, not with our eyes, but with the quiet wisdom of the heart. And one of the most painful truths many of us learn after 60 is realizing how many people come into our lives only when they want something. Have you ever noticed that days, weeks, even months go by without a single call? Then suddenly, ring, someone appears sounding warm, friendly, affectionate, but deep down, you can feel it. They're not really calling to ask how you are. They're calling because they need something from your time, your money, your attention, or even just the comfort you naturally give. I once spoke with a woman named Margaret. She was 73. She told me, "You know, I used to think people came to me because they missed me. Now I realize they came because I made things easy for them." And that moment broke something inside her, but it also woke her up. There's a quiet exhaustion that comes from being needed but never truly seen. It's like being the well everyone draws water from, but no one ever stops to ask if the well is running dry. And here's the truth I want you to remember. Your kindness is a gift, not a resource for others to drain. You are not here to be the emotional gas station for every person who walks into your life. Sometimes the people who only come to you when they need something don't even realize they're doing it. They're not evil. They're simply unconscious, operating on habit, on convenience, on the belief that you will always be there ready to give. But your soul knows the difference. It can feel the hollowness in their words, the slight impatience under their smile, the way the conversation shifts the moment they get what they came for. And every time that happens, a little part of your inner peace gets chipped away. I want you to imagine something. Imagine someone who genuinely loves you, someone who calls not because they need anything, but simply to hear your voice. How does that feel inside your chest? Warm, soft, peaceful. That feeling is your compass. It tells you which relationships nourish your spirit and which ones drain it. At this stage of life, you deserve reciprocity. You deserve people who show up not only in their moments of need, but also in yours. People who remember your birthday, not just your generosity. People who come to share joy, not only their demands. Letting go of those who only appear when they want something is not an act of cruelty. It is an act of self-respect. It is choosing peace over depletion, choosing depth over convenience, choosing your heart over someone else's habit. And sometimes that simple choice is where true freedom begins. You know, when you reach your 50s, 60s, or even beyond, your past begins to feel like a long, winding river. Some memories are gentle, like warm sunlight on the water, and some are heavy stones lying deep at the bottom. What I've seen after so many years working with older adults here in the US is this: the past itself is rarely the problem. It's the people who keep pulling you back into it. Have you ever met someone who seems to always remind you of your mistakes, even the ones you made decades ago? Maybe it's a relative, maybe it's an old friend, maybe it's someone who has never learned to forgive, not you, not themselves. I once worked with a woman named Eleanor, 72 years old. A graceful lady, but every time she talked about her sister, her shoulders would tighten. Her sister had a habit of bringing up something Eleanor did when she was just 19. A decision that honestly most of us would have made at that age. Yet for over 50 years, that old story became a weapon, a way to make her feel small, a way to make her doubt her own worth. And I remember asking her gently, "Do you believe you're still the same young girl who made that mistake?" She said, "Of course not." Then I asked, "So why let someone else keep you there?" Silence, a long healing silence. Guilt is a heavy emotion, my friend. But guilt that's forced onto you, guilt that's kept alive by another person that's not yours to carry. That's someone else projecting their pain, their judgments, their unprocessed regrets. I want you to imagine something for a moment. You're standing in a room filled with photographs, every major moment of your life on the walls. Some pictures are joyful, some painful, some confusing, but all of them are part of the person you became today. Now imagine someone walks into that room and points only at the picture you dislike the most. And every time they visit, they point at it again and again and again. If someone did that in real life, would you keep inviting them back? You see, healing in our later years isn't about rewriting the past. It's about refusing to let others chain us to it. You've grown since then. You've learned. You've lived through storms that shaped you into someone wiser, stronger, kinder. Anyone who tries to drag you backwards, anyone who uses your past as leverage, is not protecting you. They're controlling you. And Buddha taught that liberation begins the moment we stop identifying with the stories that no longer serve us. So if someone keeps reopening wounds you've already healed, you have every right and every reason to step away. You deserve peace, not punishment. You deserve to walk forward, not in circles. And most importantly, you deserve to be loved for who you are today, not who you used to be. You know, After the age of 60, peace becomes one of the most sacred treasures we guard. Not the kind of peace that comes from a quiet house or an empty schedule, but the peace that comes from within the peace you feel in your chest when your soul finally learns to breathe again. And yet there are people in our lives who seem to exist solely to pull us out of that peace. People who thrive on conflict, who carry chaos like a storm cloud above their heads, letting it pour over anyone who stands too close. Maybe you've known someone like that, someone who turns every small misunderstanding into a battlefield. Someone whose voice rises before their understanding does. Someone who argues not to find truth but to win. I once worked with a man named Robert, a retired engineer in his early 70s. Every week he came to the community center where I taught meditation. But he never seemed to calm down. He would walk into the room already tense, already rehearsing an argument he planned to have with someone at home. One evening after class, he stayed behind and asked me, "Why do I feel tired all the time? I sleep, I eat well, but I wake up exhausted." I looked at him and said gently, "Tell me, Robert, how often do you find yourself in conflict?" He paused, his shoulders dropped, and he whispered, "Every day." Conflict drains us in ways we don't fully notice. It ages the spirit faster than time ages the body. When someone pulls us into arguments again and again, they're not just disturbing our afternoon, they are disturbing our entire inner system. I want you to imagine something for a moment. Your peace is like a small candle in your chest. It doesn't burn loudly and it doesn't need attention, but it must be protected. Some people bring wind with them, wind from anger, wind from fear, wind from ego. If you spend enough time around them, your candle flickers, and eventually it goes out. After 60, your job is not to fight the wind. Your job is to shield the flame. That may mean stepping back from certain conversations, or learning to say, "I don't wish to argue," or simply choosing silence over a battle that has no winner. You are not here to fix everyone's storms. You are here to keep your sky clear. And let me tell you this from one older soul to another, when you distance yourself from those who thrive on conflict, something truly beautiful happens. Your laughter becomes softer. Your mornings become lighter. Your heart becomes younger. Peace returns not loudly but faithfully. And when peace returns, so does life. You know, at this age, joy becomes something sacred, not loud. Joy, not the kind we used to chase when we were 20 or 30, but a quiet joy, the kind you feel in your chest when the morning sun touches your window, or when you sip a warm cup of tea and feel grateful simply for being alive. And that's why the Buddha taught something profound. Protect the sources of your joy and be mindful of those who drain it. I've met many people in my years as a teacher, good people, kind people, yet their energy is always empty. Whenever they are around someone who constantly complains, who always sees the world through darkness, who never lifts a finger to help themselves, they slowly lose their spark. Maybe you felt that before. You sit with someone and after just 10 minutes you feel tired, heavier, almost like your spirit is sinking. Nothing bad happened. They didn't insult you. They didn't argue. They simply drained you with their constant negativity, their hopelessness, their need to pull someone else into the hole they refuse to climb out of. I once spoke with a woman in her early 60s, a gentle soul. She told me, "Whenever I spend time with my sister, I feel like my whole week darkens." Her sister didn't mean harm, but she lived inside a storm of complaints, fears, and bitterness. Every conversation was a storm cloud. And so I asked her, "What would happen if you allowed yourself a little distance? Not out of anger, but out of self-love." She hesitated like many of us do, especially when the person draining us is family, someone we feel responsible for. But here's the truth the Buddha wanted us to understand. You are not required to sacrifice your inner light to brighten someone else's darkness. You can care for them, you can pray for them, but you do not have to let their energy consume your own. And when she gave herself permission to step back gently, compassionately, she told me something beautiful. I feel like I can breathe again. Her smile returned. Her sleep improved. Her days felt lighter. Sometimes, the simple act of protecting your energy is the greatest gift you give yourself as you grow older. So if there is someone in your life who drains the joy from your heart, pause for a moment, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, what is this relationship doing to my spirit? Because your joy at this age is not something to waste. It is something to honor, something to guard with gentleness, and something the Buddha believed was essential for a peaceful, meaningful life. You know, as I sit here sharing this with you, I'm thinking about how many people over 60 have quietly confessed the same thing to me. They lower their voice and say, I don't know why, but I feel trapped around certain people, like I'm not allowed to breathe. Have you ever felt that way? There are people in our lives who don't just walk beside us. They try to steer our steps, our feelings, even our choices. Sometimes they do it openly with criticism or guilt. Sometimes they do it quietly with a soft voice, but heavy expectations. And when you're older, when you've lived enough life to value peace more than anything else, this kind of emotional pressure becomes especially painful. I once worked with a woman named Eleanor, 72 years old. She told me she felt like her emotions were held on a leash by someone in her family. If she didn't respond immediately, he would get upset. If she didn't agree, he'd accuse her of being ungrateful. And she said something I'll never forget. I feel like my heart is rented out to someone who doesn't even appreciate it. Manipulation is not always loud. Sometimes it hides behind phrases like, I only want what's best for you. If you loved me, you're the only one who understands me. These words may sound gentle, but they push you into a corner where your feelings are no longer your own. Let me tell you something, as someone who has walked with many souls in their 60s and 70s, your emotions belong to you. Your peace belongs to you. Your life belongs to you. When someone clings to you so tightly that you cannot breathe, that is not love, that is fear disguised as affection. When someone controls your choices, it is not protection, it is insecurity wearing a mask. And when someone manipulates your feelings, so you always end up being the one who apologizes, the one who fixes, the one who carries the burden, that is not connection, that is emotional captivity. I want you to imagine something with me. A bird that lives its entire life with the sky above it, yet never flies because someone convinced it that those wings were meant to be folded. Many people live like that at 60, 70, even 80, but you don't have to. Letting go of people who manipulate your emotions doesn't mean you stop caring. It simply means you stop sacrificing your peace for someone else's fear, insecurity, or control. And when you finally release those emotional chains, even just one link, you'll feel something you may not have felt in years, the gentle, steady rhythm of your own heart beating freely again. You know, one of the deepest lessons I've learned over the decades is this: love does not cancel your right to have boundaries. And yet so many people, sometimes even the ones who share our blood, step into our emotional space as if it belongs to them. I've seen this in many of my sessions with older adults here in the US. A woman in her 70s once told me, I feel like I don't own my own peace. Everyone tells me how I should feel, what I should forgive, and what I should tolerate. If you've ever felt something similar, let me tell you, you're not alone. When someone constantly crosses your emotional boundaries, questioning your choices, dismissing your feelings, or demanding more than you have to give it, slowly erodes the quiet place inside you. Sometimes they don't even realize they're doing it. Sometimes they believe that because they love you, they have the right to step into your inner world without knocking. But imagine your heart as a small cabin in the woods, warm, gentle, lit by a soft lantern. You decide who gets to enter. You decide how long they stay and how close they can sit to the fire, not out of coldness, but out of wisdom. As we get older, protecting that inner cabin becomes even more important. You no longer have the energy to carry everyone's expectations, disappointments, or emotional storms. Your time and peace become precious, and every moment of calm is worth preserving. Let me share something I often say in my workshops. Setting boundaries isn't pushing people away. It's teaching them how to love you without hurting you. And sometimes this is the harder truth. Your boundaries will upset people who benefited from you having none. They may accuse you of being selfish, distant, or uncaring. But emotional boundaries are not walls. They are doors, and you decide how gently or firmly they open. So if there are people in your life, even family members, who constantly step over those emotional lines, it may be time to step back and choose peace over obligation, not from anger but from clarity, not from fear but from self-respect. Because at this stage of life, your heart deserves to breathe, your spirit deserves spaciousness, and your peace is not something you should ever have to apologize for. Sometimes the most painful truth we discover after the age of 50 is that not everyone is meant to walk with us on the path of awakening. There are people who become uncomfortable when you begin to grow, when you start choosing peace instead of drama, reflection instead of reaction, compassion instead of anger. They don't know where to place you anymore. I've seen this often in my work with older adults here in the US. The moment someone begins to meditate or read spiritual books or simply tries to live more mindfully, a few people in their life start saying things like, "Why are you changing? You're acting strange. You're too serious now." But let me ask you this. Is growth strange, or is staying the same your whole life the real tragedy? I once worked with a gentleman in his late 60s, kind man, gentle soul, who finally found peace through simple breathing meditation. For the first time in decades, he began sleeping better, speaking softer, and feeling more present. But suddenly, his old friends started mocking him. They preferred the version of him who was loud, reactive, always ready for a drink, always ready to argue. His peace made them uncomfortable because it reminded them of what they refused to face within themselves. And he told me something I will never forget. Maybe they don't want me to grow because they're afraid of being left behind. Sometimes that's the truth. Your spiritual growth can highlight someone else's emotional stagnation. Your clarity can expose their avoidance. Your calm can reveal their chaos. And so they resist you. They pull you back. They make you doubt yourself. Not because you're wrong, but because your evolution threatens the world they're trying to keep unchanged. So if someone in your life refuses to honor your inner journey, if they laugh at your mindfulness practices, if they push you to stay who you used to be, you must remember this. Your soul has its own timeline. Your awakening is not up for negotiation, and your peace is not something you owe anybody. At this stage of life, after 50, after 60, your spiritual growth is not a luxury. It is your right. It is your healing. It is your return to your true self. Let no one, no matter how close, keep you from the path your soul is finally ready to walk.